Hello and welcome to Dels Gaming, and this is from the depths in the campaign mode, and we're just at my starter fortress, which I use as my main base, just having a look at what we have round here. Someone did actually question and ask about this, so this is my little fort where I do all my building at. So all ships are generally built here. They can retrofit online, but they're built here. So we've got a little new town class cruiser being built here as part of a reserve force that we're setting up, which is going to be part of a quick little responsive force for any incursions. And this is my general area with some oil production. So oil production has been moved away from the area we took from the Deepwater Guard. It is now being done here, and we have one of my Liberty supply boats which is just unloading at the docks here, and I think is just about ready to depart again. Actually, it can go on its merry way to go and pick up some more supplies. So once it's on its way to a new destination, pick up more supplies to bring back for our main base, and it closes up and it carries on. There we go, and our cranes, it resets itself. We also have here is Emily HKFB, which is a transport float plane. It can land on can land on water and land, and it's going to be used to transport goods from land based areas, and also act as a high-speed resupply ship if certain areas run out of resources or fleets, etc. Sorry, if any fleets run out of resources. So we just release this, see if it can actually take off without destroying itself, and it does quite nicely, which is a great benefit. So what's happening on the map? So currently we've had to, again, a few more incursions by the Lightning Guard. We defended ourselves, but we also had an attack into some of these southern areas. It was an attack from the White Flayers trying to come into our areas. So the heavy fleet now is going to redirect itself, and it's going to clean up some of these forces round the south, I think, now. And we're going to take over this zone here again, so we can start drilling it, moving the drilling tractor, which is our land-based force for if I can select it, land-based force for, there we go, resource extraction. That's going to make its way over to this area once the heavy squadron has taken it over, although this is a land square, so we might have to bring down our air forces, I think, just to clean up anything that's left in that particular area. So first of all, let's get these battles and clean up the southern zones of the White Flayers with our heavy squadron, and we'll see how our battleships do in these areas, and hopefully we'll end up taking out this town here and get this other resource zone just up the north. So our heavy squadron is now just about ready to go into a battle with just some Basher and some other planes just as a starting point, and then we will move on to some of the other areas where I think we'll get a bit more of a battle. So starting off on a nice calm sea, our forces are firing at the enemy wrecker that's coming in, but didn't really last for too long with the sheer volume of fire that's going to be coming in from all of the forces which are arrayed against it. It yeah, tried its best, but yeah, it's not going to survive there too long. Now this martyrs, they can always be a problem, the martyrs, because if they do get close enough, and we've got one looked like it's trying to get close to that bogateer or the frigate, whichever one it's trying to get close to, and oh, it did get a hit against the bogateer. And our Navy has been worried about these nuclear missile new developments, and is determined to find a way to counteract it. So our frigate is getting healed up, which is good, and now we've just got some long range shells coming in at this enemy basher, I think it is. Shouldn't really take too long, I think. It has got a lot of missiles though, so if these missiles don't get taken out by our picket fence forces, and one of our frigates seems to have... Oh no, that's the wrecker. We've got anti-missiles coming in. They've taken out some of them on the picket duty, but some did get through to go against the Duke, and its own forces took out a few, but not as many as I would have liked, considering how many anti-missile systems were fired there. But again, it did its job and protected the flagship. So, okay, I think we're now just into a bombardment situation of this poor basher, which is being used as a bit of a guinea pig for the forces, by the looks of it. Yes, it's fairly much gone, and that will be the end of this battle. And our bomber fleet are just going to clear out this particular area, just to make sure we've got everything clear for our resource gatherer. So our Valiant's gaining height, and the Vulcans are going in against... We've got, looks like, a few aircraft, which is good considering it's a land area. And we're going to see how our aircraft can do against these. We haven't got fighters, we have only got bombers, unfortunately, so this is going to be problematic, but they're giving it a good go. We have got some, obviously, missiles that are capable of taking out some of these forces, although it looks like some of them have decided to go for our own ship, which is a minor bit of a problem. I might have to look at some of these, why they haven't got friend or foes. Anyway, so the heavy fleet is now engaged the next White Flayer zone. We've got some of our ships launched in, not as many as I would have liked at the beginning, but we've got a few of those missiles taken out by the anti-missile systems, but some did get through, unfortunately. Well, oh no, we did a good job there. Load of martyrs coming in. Hopefully our ships will actually be able to take them out before they get to the ships. Yes. Well, we're bringing a few more ships just to see what the other ships are able to do. We got this Bogartars doing quite well with the frigate of defending our flagship, but I think we need some more big guns in here just to really give the full impression of how the Dels Imperial Navy is superior to anything the enemy has. So another martyr's been taken out, and our full fleet has now come out to play, shall we say. The Bogartars doing quite a good job, actually, crashing down on the White Flayer ships here. I think it may be is that another basher? Oh, it's a ripper. Okay, and it's got ripped apart by the looks of it. We've got quite a bit of incoming fire from the various ships. We've got all of the White Flayer ships in, and Dels Imperial Heavy Squadron is also in play. So the Thresher is the main target for our big guns at the moment, so we should see some salvos coming in from the Duke. We can see that the frigates are taking up flanking positions, which is good, whilst this Thresher is being slowly worked down by the big guns. some good hits there. Mixture of EMP and HE doing significant damage to the enemy ships. Something that's not always seen is our frigates and ships are sending out quite a lot of torpedoes against the vessels, and they do quite well at blowing out the undersides. I tend to use just purely HE torpedoes, using the maximum advantage of the underwater explosion enhancement. I think a few of them I did put EMP. I think it was the Russian ones. Maybe they may have had one EMP, but they were about 90% explosive, and that's the fresher gone. And I think we might have a few other ships coming in. Now I think that we're down to the last remains, and this battle will also be over soon. So we're going into the area which is the most extended of the White Flayers, just north of our Janwell base, and we're going in with our Iron Duke and Bogatyr, and we're going to see what it's like, if I can get it, from the bridge of the Bogatyr. So out here we've got some explosion happening out there already. So I'm guessing that was one of the enemy martyrs exploded. I would like to get hold of some of that, and it looks like we have a Guymura thruster craft which is also attacking us, but I'm going to get to the side because our anti-missile systems are blocking my view. And we have coming in here, is that a Velos or I think, is that a Velos? And our guns are having a good go at it, but it's gone into the Duke. It has collided with the Duke there. Our secondary guns are trying to have a go at it, but it did get through our picket of frigates. How's this Guymura doing up here? It's making its way through. Its missiles are out, and they are contacting with the Duke. The Duke is having some problems at the moment. It's getting overwhelmed by these ships coming through our picket line, which is not good. As the Bogatyr is surviving and is firing as best it can at the enemy ships, but we're not quite able to hold them off as well as I'd like. And there is two martyrs. Oh, come on, get those martyrs. And one of the martyrs got through our picket into the Duke, so we're going to have to go and see how the Duke is doing now, after getting hit by possibly two martyr ships. Those nuclear weapons are very much a problem at this moment, if they manage to get through. And our Navy is very interested in those nuclear weapons once we can get our hands on some examples. Now, looking at it, they did a chunk of damage on this side, on our superstructure, but it looks like our main body of the ship survived, and it's slowly getting rebuilt. The other side has survived okay, so we're keeping buoyancy, which is good. But now, oh dear, we have a slasher coming in, who's really going to try and finish off the job that the nuclear missiles did. Yep, that's having a good go at us there. I think we're going to have to tell everyone to all target this. Oops, let's come off that. That's your primary target, everybody. It's trying to drill its way through. The drill stopped moving at this moment. And to add extra injury, it looks like a Velas decided to try and ram and take over the top of our ship as well, which hasn't improved the mood of the captain of the Iron Duke. But seeing all this happening, the Agincourt says, damn this, and has come in to bring its substantial broadside and guns into the fray. And the Velas did come in and give the Agincourt a nice welcome scratch along the side, which did take out a fair bit of the surface armour, but didn't actually penetrate through to the core, which is good. So from the bridge of the Agincourt we can see that the enemy is trying to push the Iron Duke underwater, which is, to say the least, a bit of a problem for a ship, but we're going to have to try and take it out and see if we can resist it, and we have to see if we can take it out and see if we can resolve this situation and bring this battle around. This is the toughest battle we've had so far, with obviously showing some deficiencies in our cruiser and screening fleet. So the enemy Thresher has finally relinquished its hold on the Iron Duke, so we just got to hope it can refloat itself and get back into the action. At the moment it's looking a little sorry for itself after being basically pushed down underwater, and it's going to need a fair bit of repair and help before I think it's going to be operational. Luckily we have now also got the Preservette coming in to help the Agincourt, who is giving a fair old broadside with its guns at various enemy ships that it can see. Fortunately, it's not always seeming to attack the ships that would logically be the best option in my view, but hey ho. And the battle at the moment is a bit of a lag fest with all of the sinking and collisions going on. We are back on the bridge of the Bogatyr, who has got in among the enemy fleet and is picking on a Charon, and I think that might be a basher there. Whilst the main fleet still comes in with long range support and deals with the Guy Mura, which is above them, and trying to bring the Iron Duke back up into the fight. So from here on the bridge of the Preservette, using its massed guns to help take out the ship that was attacking the Agincourt. It's not great against aircraft, unfortunately, but it's doing quite well at devouring the I think it was a Velez, however you pronounce it, whatever, Victor over there. And up above we have an enemy aircraft, possibly a harpoon or maybe a spike, which we are gradually whittling down as it comes round and into range of our secondary weapons as well. You know, the frigates are also peppering it with the 72mm pom-pom anti-aircraft guns. I like watching the Preservet fire all of its guns. It's got quite nice. They seem to be missing a lot, but it's trying, and yeah, it's unfortunately bouncing against the enemy's shields, which is a bit of a problem. But once it starts getting through, especially if it gets a rear shot onto the engines, and just turned in time. So the Agincourt here is now fully into the battle, firing its broadside out at the Flyers, which is not the best of targets for it, but it is trying to take out the last couple of enemy Flyers in this fleet. So the Gaimura here is now the priority target for most of the fleet. A lot of anti-air flak coming in, just peppering away at all the control surfaces, and then a few good hits coming in. A little bit of a lack of good kill shots. I think it needs a good missile up the rear end or two, just to really take out and render it inoperable. Yeah, it seems to be losing height now, struggling to keep height, and once it's in the water, I think all the big guns from the Agincourt should be able to do a considerable broadside. It's going slow enough. Looks of it, the Agincourt is now firing its main guns over here. I think they should be coming in and doing a fair bit of damage, I think, there. And that's enough to cause it to spawn out. Or despawn is the right word. And after the last battle, which was a bit laggy due to the number of blocks I think that were in the game at that time, I think the next one I will reduce it to the more normal spawning ships as required, and we'll try to find a suitable set of ships that will come into the game or into the battle. We're going to try taking out this square here, which is somewhat potentially problematic, shall we say, with a lot of land, so we could end up with ships running aground. It'll be a good test for them. One problem I'd say with our fleet is that was found is that they're not really quick enough and not quite got enough short range guns to defend against these suicide type ships. So we'll have to have a look at that and send out some requests to the enemy. And what have we got here? Now we're going to have to intercept these mainly Flyers, I think, they're going in. So let us reduce the size of this battle a little bit, say to about 150, and we'll see what ships we can get in. It looks like a lot of flying ships here, so we don't need mainly our frigates in. And on the bridge of the air defence frigate, we're waiting for those enemy planes to come into range just now. Looks like we've got a few missiles inbound, and there we've got our first salvo of missiles going out. I think they were potentially anti-missile systems. We'll go and have a look what the enemy are sending up towards us. Looks like they're mainly flyers, and there's some missiles making their way into the fleet. Looks like we have Gaimura there, by the looks of it. Slowly coming in. It's quite a powerful ship, this. Does quite a bit of damage. A lot of missiles fired out from there, and looks like wrecker and harpoons, I think that is, by the looks of it. Plenty of flak and dacker firing up at the enemy craft. And the frigate is firing its, although everything seems to be firing behind at the target, which is a bit problematic, since the target's there and they're firing about quite a few degrees out, which is a bit annoying. Let's see how they do now it's passed over. Oh, they seem to be firing a bit better on target this time. A bit behind it, if anything, now. So that gun, for some reason, has fixated on that point. I've just changed the detection a little bit. We'll see if that helps. But they seem to get fixated on a particular point and don't adjust for the craft. So I reduced the detection rates a little bit on the craft. Now they're a little bit being indecisive. And it looks like the enemy Gaimura is now dead in the air, sort of floating there, hopefully coming down, and the air defence is actually aiming at other craft now. Another harpoon looks like it's got taken out. So we've got some reasonable damage to the aircraft, but not significant at this time, but still a bit better. Bit better than they did previously. I don't think we've got much left now. I think it's just this Gaimura to disintegrate. So, okay, not too bad against the air, although the guns did seem to be firing a little bit off. So it looks like there is one more target that the Agincourt is heading over towards and sending some barrages in. So it looks like we've got a land bombardment from the Agincourt coming into a potentially, I guess it's going to be a stranded ship. This could be problematic. Okay, so we have one White Flayer in Charendon. I can never pronounce the name of this bloody craft, if I can get close enough. The Charendon. And he can't get up, and we can't shoot at it because of the hills. So what is the solution? We can either try to put some missiles in there, or how would you even code around this problem where, you know, a ship can't get up and we can't get to it? We have no aircraft. We have one aircraft actually, so I can bring in our aircraft just to see if our walrus can actually do any damage, but he is set to stay at range and not close in. The Argent Court is trying, but obviously isn't going to be able to close in correctly. So this is the Supermarine Walrus, which is our spotter plane. It has got some rockets, but they're not really going to do much damage to the enemy, so I'm going to have to put him in a little closer and see what I can do with it. And it looks like some of our ships have, despite my best efforts with some control blocks, have decided to try and beach themselves on the land, even though I had increased their turning ability and changed their various settings. Now it looks like the Argent Corps may have found a way to shoot at the enemy. Let's see if I can get on board. So yes, it has found a small gap in which to shoot at the enemy, and it's doing its broadside against the enemy's enemy ship, hopefully. That's a stroke of luck, finding a little gap there. Let's see what these broadside of the... How many have we got there? We've got 14 guns coming in here. Hopefully some of them are hitting. It looks like we are getting some hits come in. Hope it's enough to take out the enemy. Looks like it was. That's a stroke of luck. And finally finish him off. We did quite well against that little enemy, not really too much of a problem, but it looks like we've got the lightning hoods have decided to come and attack our defense platforms, and it looks like we're going to have to do a quick little battle against the lightning hoods as our team makes its way back to the main area to attack this base here, which I may actually attack with the cruiser squadron, but we're just to see this battle against the lightning hoods just to clean them out of our area. So our missile and cannon armed defense platforms are having a go at this incoming, it looks like a Solaris, I think that is. We're putting out smoke aplenty, because like a smoke. The platforms at the side, oh, they took quite a bit of damage. More rely on their shields than smoke. You can see the Nelan here has quite a good smoke defense. And we've got coming in. Oh, these Fireflies actually managed to take off this time. Last time they were in a battle with us, they all ended up in the water. So we'll see how our defense platforms manage against these ships. We are heavily missiled. Well, we're getting, but we are actually getting attacked quite heavily by missiles. The decoys seem to not be really working too well at the moment. But our Nelan has a good frontal battery with these guns here are actually quite a lot of smoke. They actually fire smoke out at the enemy at 250mm guns, I think, or might actually be some others. Obviously there's a lot of smoke running here, so I can't quite see everything, but we do actually fire smoke shells out. But you can see there's a to protect themselves against the lasers, they do like to make sure they're covered, shall we say. So the Fireflies are up high, missiles going inbound. Up there, looks like they took out that Firefly quite nicely, and they have damaged this other Firefly here. Or maybe it's just erratically moving anyway. Where's the other ship? I think the other ship's done for. What was this? This is the Sea Raptor. You can see it. I think the guns have done a good job taking out a lot of the insides of this ship. which is good. So my Nilans, I like these little defence platforms. They're not quick in any fashion whatsoever, but they just defend an area, stick in one area. These were the earlier versions that I had. They were originally aimed to defend against the Deepwater Guard, but they still do a reasonable job against the White Flayers. They're a little bit susceptible to lasers more than the Nilan, but they put out quite a considerable amount of firepower when they aim at a target. So I think just the Firefly left, which may have gone somewhat parabolic on its trajectory, but we're still trying to fire at it. Yeah, it looks like it's damaged and trying to go into the air somewhat. And we haven't got available missiles at the moment. We're still firing good flak in. Flak is coming in, so that's going to be doing some damage. I think the Nilan has now reloaded. It's a little short on ammo at times, so it's got no missiles loaded at the moment because the ammo isn't high enough to load the missile gantries. But the shots are still doing the damage with the long-range heavy flak. You can see we're at the limit of some sort of boundary at this moment, or flak, but it's doing okay. Oh, just lost it. There we go. Oh, it's coming down. Unfortunately, our air-to-air systems don't quite have the range. I think we've just managed to fire out a few shots now. A few missiles to help try and take out the enemy. At longer ranges, I think missiles, although they don't do as much damage as the guns now over time, they are a good kill shot if you've got the range. Anyway, we finished that battle as well, and we didn't take too much damage. A little bit of damage from the lasers to be expected. We will send our fleet out to go and have a pick-up of some of these materials, and then put itself back in defence. There we go, that will move itself around quite nicely. The drilling ship is still gathering up materials. A lot of it's going to these defence platforms, so they've got lots of resources to repair themselves with, and anything extra will end up going to the resource ship to go back to the main base. In the next episode, we're going to bring in the Heavy Squadron and Cruiser Squadrons to take out these squares, and then let the Air Force bomb the crap out of this area, with maybe the Heavy Squadron coming in for shore bombardment, and then eventually take over this resource zone. Sorry about that, pressed the wrong button. Then finally we'll head on to the fortress and attack whatever is their most elite level of forces they can bring up against us. Anyway, that's it for now. Leave any comments below, but as always, keep playing the game and have fun.